Good day, folks, and welcome back to Ed's Garage at Bannister Hyundai. Today we are going to be looking at the 2025 freshly refreshed Tucson Ultimate Hybrid. This is the very top trim in the hybrid range. This is pretty cool. They've done some really nice things with this vehicle. Now, before I get too far in, I want to apologize. I don't have my little selfie stick thing or my microphone, so I'm just going to talk really loud so you can hear me over all the background noise. Hopefully the sound is all right, so I apologize for that. But I wanted to get this done and quick because this vehicle will be sold very quickly, and then I probably won't have access to another one for a while. So let's get on with it. I'll show you everything about this vehicle, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave comments below. Subscribe if this video helps you out. And by the way, guys, check out my description. I've got links to a bunch of affiliate pages to help me out, but also to help you out. Got Ed's Garage as a discount code that you can use at any of those affiliates to save money. So if you're looking for a small appliance or a car accessory or an EV accessory or wheels or tires, please check out the description below for some great savings there using a discount code Ed's Garage. All right, let's check out this 25 Tucson Ultimate Hybrid. All right, starting with the slightly redesigned front end. So first off, if you notice the lights flashing like that, they don't actually do that in real life. That's just a trick of the LED lights and the camera, so ignore that. But on the front of this beautiful Tucson, you can see we've got LED projection headlights and high beams, as well, of course, as LED daytime running lights with a slightly redesigned grille. It looks a little bit more aggressive now. You can see we've got the little dots there for the proximity sensors, so of course it has forward and reverse parking sensors. There's also a camera right here because it's got the 360 camera system. Up in the windshield, you can see we've got another camera, of course, for the autonomous braking, lane keep assistance, pedestrian detection, all of the safety technology that comes with it. And right above that, there's a little sensor for the wipers because it has automatic wipers. Now, this being a hybrid, you can see through the grille right there is a little speaker. That's your pedestrian warning system. So that basically will make a little bit of a noise when the gas engine's off and the vehicle is moving at low speeds. Coming around the side here, you can see we've got another parking sensor on the side, just like in the back there's a parking sensor. Beautiful 19-inch aluminum alloy wheels. They have changed the design, and actually I like them. I think they look fantastic. It's wrapped by Michelin tires. These are a 255/55, of course, 19-inch. Coming back a little further here, you can see we've got the little camera bump on the mirror there. We've got the lights in the mirrors. There is, of course, blind spot monitoring here and blind view monitoring, which we'll get to later. New for 25 is the little sensitive button here, the touch sensitive button. So this also does include digital key, where you can you can unlock the doors, start the car, and drive off with just your cell phone, assuming your cell phone has UWB capability. Going further back around, we still have the beautiful LED tail lights with the bar going all the way across the back, which is nice. Slightly redesigned tail end, not too much different. One thing that's very much different is the lights down here are much bigger than the old one. There's still an amber turn signal, which is nice. You can see we've got the backup sensors there as well. No ugly window wiper here. It's tucked up underneath, which is cool. And the badge, of course, is changed as well. This is just basically under the glass now, so slight difference on the badging. Now, one of the coolest features with the top trim Tucson is Smart Park. So I'm going to remote start the vehicle first, and then I'm going to hold one of these two buttons down on the key fob, and you'll see what it does here. Check this out. There we go. Tires straightened out, and the car's moving all on its own. There's nobody in the vehicle. Now, if I hold the forwards button, same thing will happen, except of course the vehicle will go forwards. Now, you can't get too far away from it because then it'll stop. But yeah, pretty cool. And then I can shut the car off again using that same remote start button. Now, the Tucson is of course equipped with the Smart Power tailgate. So if I simply walk up to the back of the vehicle, assuming that I have the key with me in my pocket, within 4 seconds, the tailgate will open up, which is pretty cool. I don't need to do a little dance, don't need to press any buttons. If my hands are full, opens up. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, a few weeks ago, I did a comparison video between the Honda CR-V and the Tucson Hybrid Ultimate, the Honda CR-V Hybrid as well. The difference in price that I talked about was $6,000. Well, the price in Canada for the Tucson has gone up, and it's a pretty large jump, but it's still $3,000 less than the Honda CR-V hybrid, if we're looking trim to trim. So the price of the Tucson's gone up by about $3,000, but the feature differences make it worth it. Wait till you see the interior up front. It's pretty awesome. And as far as the rest of the vehicle, sure, some tweaks here and there, but mainly the interior. So they've really kind of bumped up the price a little bit to kind of get closer to the competition, which makes a lot of sense. It's a bit of a downside if you're waiting specifically for the 25, but you are getting a little bit of a nicer vehicle. All right, having a look at the storage space back here, it is quite large. Lots of space back here. There's the ability to fold down the seats, of course, 60-40 split. You can do that right from the little handles here, which is nice. You do have some underfloor storage space as well. So let's get this mat out of the way. Doesn't come with a spare tire though. It comes with a pump and a spray, which is kind of par for the course these days. So pulling this floor away, you can see the only thing that's taken up is that little thing right there, a little computer controller or something rather. The battery isn't really taking away any space here, and I can still put the floor down to this lower height if I need some extra height in here, which is pretty cool. Now obviously you would normally want to have this in the upper position, because that way it's nice and flat with the seat backs. Those do go down pretty flat, which I'll show you in a bit. Also back here we have a 12-volt power outlet, little LED light there lighting everything up, and then on the right hand side you can see we've got the subwoofer for the really nice Bose audio system. All right, so having a look in the back seat area here, as you can see the seat backs are now down. They're fairly flush with the back here, so if you wanted to you could throw a mattress in here and sleep in it. They're pretty almost straight, not quite, they're inclined a little bit, but here's a nice thing. If you want to lift the seat back up, it's a one-handed movement. Just release and push. Pretty simple. Very, very easy to do. Now, before jumping in, I'm going to show you, we've got 3 levels of seat heat here, so that's pretty cool. So the rear seats are heated. Front seats, of course, are heated and ventilated, which I'll get to in a bit. Check this out. Hyundai's little smart thing where you can kind of store the seat belt out of the way, so it's, you know, when you're putting the seat up and down, it's not going to get in the way. That's pretty cool. Really nice light gray leather interior. Kind of looks like cream in the video, but it is technically a very, very light gray. Easy to clean, so if you're concerned about the interior color, you could also get the black interior. Nice solid seat backs, seat back pockets. We've got 2 USB ports here. They are USB-C and they are backlit, so you can see those at night very easily. A couple of fans back here, nice center cup holder armrest. But let's jump in. All right, having a seat inside the back of the Tucson, first thing I'll point out is that I can actually recline this seat very, very easily. Check this out. So all I do is pull the handle on the left and watch how far back it goes. Look at that. That's crazy. Now, of course, the other seat here is not reclined yet, so you can see the difference is quite dramatic. Let me just recline that as well. Oh, there we go. So if you're back here, it's actually quite comfortable. I've got lots of headroom. I've got a nice cushioned cup holder armrest. I've got a ton of space in front of my legs. Check this out. So the Tucson has really, really good legroom front and rear. Look at how much room I've got in front of my knees, even though this seat back is quite far back. And actually, as a matter of fact, I've got a ton of space underneath the seat as well. So I've got lots of room for my feet under there. Aside from that, we've got the nice cushioned armrest over here. No sun shades in this vehicle. For that, you'd need to go up to a Santa Fe or maybe the Ioniq 5 if you're looking at a full electric version of an SUV. All right, having a look under the hood of the Tucson, we have a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is making about 228 horsepower, so it gets up going pretty good. Of course, it is mated to an electric motor, which provides about 50 of that horsepower, as a matter of fact. Now, this is a Smart Stream engine, which means it's dual injected, very, very fuel efficient. It's linked up to a regular, good old-fashioned bulletproof automatic transmission. No CVTs in this, no dual clutch or anything like that, just a regular transmission, because the electric motor is able to take up the slack anytime that the transmission is shifting gears. Now, as far as fuel efficiency goes, 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers is average, but as a matter of fact, that is the city mileage and the highway mileage. You don't lose anything going one way or another. As far as workability under here, there's still a decent amount of space around the engine, so maintenance is going to be relatively inexpensive. Also note that you have these coverings on the side here. A lot of manufacturers don't even bother, but Hyundai's put that there to basically clean up this entire engine bay, but also to reduce a little bit of road and wind noise. Up in the top here, you can see we've got this layer of insulation, of course. Look at how well buttoned up that is. Hyundai does a really nice job with that as well. Fortunately, one downside I am seeing is it's still using a peg to hold up the hood, while other Hyundais are starting to put, you're starting to see the props, the gas shocks holding up the hood. This is still using a manual prop. Now, one of the things I don't mention enough is the fact that Hyundai does make its own steel. As a matter of fact, it is the only automotive manufacturer with its own steel manufacturing plant. Now, what that affords Hyundai is the ability to save a lot of money on things like advanced high-strength steel, and then put, you know, that savings into things like R&D, safety technology, features on the vehicle, etc. Check this out. One thing that you'll notice with a Hyundai, well, with not every Hyundai, but most Hyundais, is that single stamped door piece. So if you look at a lot of manufacturers out there, what they'll do is they'll actually weld the door in multiple places, right, you know, in those corners there, instead of just using one solid stamped piece of metal. So Hyundai doesn't need to do that because, again, they save money on the steel manufacturing. All right, before we get into the driver's side, have a look at the passenger side. This is going to be your first peek at this beautiful new interior, but I wanted to point out that the passenger seat does have power seat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-way adjustable power passenger seat with height and tilt. That's really, really nice. Now, the driver's seat, though, includes 2-way lumbar support, so a 10-way adjustable driver's seat. All right, so sitting in the driver's seat, you can see I've got a ton of headroom. I've got lots of leg room here, and as a matter of fact, the seat can go further back, of course. Check this out. I'm going to move the seat all the way back to a point where now it's just a little bit too much for me. I'd have to basically stretch out a bit too much, but I'm going to keep the seat back so I can reach all the other controls and not be in the way of the camera. But yeah, but in any event, it's one of the best in class for legroom front and rear, which is awesome if you've got a taller family. But check out this interior, guys. Have a look at this. So basically we have an all new dashboard layout, new steering wheel with the 4 dots rather. There's Morse code for the letter H. We have a completely redesigned center console where they've put the wireless charger right up front here. Tons of storage space down here. You still have a decent amount of storage space in the center console. As a matter of fact, it goes quite far down. That seems to be a little different than the old one. We've got a cool little shelf here for your passengers' phones and whatnot. And of course, there is lots of ambient lighting in here as well, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. But new for 2025, check this out. We now actually have a sensor here, which is checking to see if you are actually looking in the right direction. So if you're not looking down, if you're not looking out the front windshield, the car is going to know. So those little dots there, that's actually an infrared light. It's bouncing infrared light off your face so that I can get a good idea of which way you're looking. That's pretty cool. So that is part of the new forward attention warning. So if we have a look here, you can see that there's a setting to enable and disable that. Interestingly, though, it is still showering the infrared light, even though that's turned off. So let's turn that on and see if it doesn't make any difference. Interesting. You don't actually see that flash in real life. Basically, the camera's picking it up because the camera's able to pick up infrared light. Okay, so what I'd like to do is kind of go over all of the features in this beautiful vehicle. But before I talk about all of this stuff, let's just have a look around the cabin here. So again, we do have the nice soft touch materials on the door here. It's a really, really soft, cushiony armrest, soft touch, soft touch, soft touch, soft touch, soft touch. Very, very well appointed vehicle. Beautiful leather seats. Now, I will say this, these seats are incredibly comfortable. Having sat in these seats for hours on a long road trip, I can attest to just how comfortable they are. Having a look at the headliner, it is nice black headliner, and check this out. We do have the enormous panoramic sunroof, which of course extends all the way over the rear seats. And of course the glass does open up. So let's see how far it opens here. Probably no different from the 2024. Yeah, no, about the same as the 2024 there. So we're going to close everything here just to reduce some light. Now, as far as the backup mirror, we have the home link buttons on the bottom. That is for your garage doors and gates. To set that up, basically hold the outer 2 buttons until that light flashes quickly. Then hold one of the buttons down while you hold your existing remote button down. Once it flashes quickly again, then it's paired prepared and copied that signal. This is an auto dimming mirror, so you don't need to do that manually. The side visors both slide out, and they both have mirrors and lights. And then up in the headliner here, you can see we've got some buttons. So we've got, they've actually fixed this now. So if you want the lights to stay off when you open the door, so door's open now, lights are on, but if you want the lights to stay off, then this button needs to be depressed. So that's exactly opposite of what it used to be. Before, if you wanted the lights to stay on, you'd have to have the button depressed. So I like that they've corrected that problem. This one just turns on all the interior lights. These are also individual map lights. This is to call for roadside assistance, and that's to call for emergency assistance with BlueLink. Now, BlueLink is Hyundai's telematics system. You can remote start the car with your heated or ventilated seats turned on, with your front defrost, rear defrost turned on, whatever, heated steering wheel turned on, which now has 2 levels, by the way. But also you can run it for a specific amount of time, and you can do this all from your cell phone. You don't have to use the key fob. You can remote start with your cell phone. You can also find the vehicle on a map from your cell phone, lock the doors, unlock the doors, etc. All of that is free for 3 years minimum. Now, beyond that, it's looking more and more like Hyundai may just make that free forever. All right, so having a look over at the left side, this is one of my favorite features. Check this out, 12-volt battery reset. If the battery is dead, so you can't get into the car, you have to use the physical key or whatever to open the doors, and then the car won't start. Press this button and it'll reset the 12-volt system. You don't need to jump start this vehicle. Pretty cool. Beside that, we have traction stability control, the button for the rear door, and then of course the dashboard illumination. That's your dimmer switch. And this of course is your e-brake. So you can pull that to set the e-brake, or push it when your brake foot brake is down to release the e-brake. But it does also do the e-brake automatically, which is nice. On the steering wheel, you can see we've got a few controls here. These are for your adaptive cruise control. So that's to turn it on and set your initial speed. This will increase and decrease the speed, or pause it and resume it. And then this one here is for your adaptive cruise control distance, how close this vehicle follows the vehicle in front of it. These two here control this little center bit of the screen, which I'm going to go over in a second. This one is your lane keep assist centering. So this will lane center the vehicle. You can also enable and disable the lane keep assist. So if you have a look at the screen there, you can see that little icon right there. If I hold this button down, boom, it's gone. If I hold it down again, boom, it's on. If I just press and release this button, there we go, that's lane centering. So the difference is lane centering by default will be off. You need to turn it on every single time, but lane keep assist, holding that button down, will be defaulted to whatever you had it on the last time you were in the car. Lane centering will basically, when this little steering wheel turns green, basically what that means is that it will try its absolute best to keep you in the center of the lane at any speed, whether or not you're on cruise control. Lane keep assist just keeps you on the road, so you'll pinball off of the lines, and that only works over 60 kilometers an hour. Now, when you're on cruise control, basically everything is just enabled. And as a matter of fact, what's nice about this vehicle is now you also have head-up display, which shows all of that stuff as well. Not sure if you can see it there. There we can see a little bit. It's tough to see through the camera, but quite honestly, it's really easy to see in real life. So you notice we have right in the top left corner is your speed limit, then you have your speedometer, and then you can see the little steering wheel there for lane centering. It'll also show you your cruise control information in there, turn-by-turn directions if you're navigating on either the built-in system or now the wireless Apple CarPlay Android Auto. So it'll show everything in that head-up display. Pretty awesome. Now, these two buttons here will cycle through the different menus on this screen, as I mentioned. So let's go through those different things. So first off, this top button, you'll notice if I press that repeatedly, it kind of goes through 3 different menus, right? So we're going to start at the menu on the far left, and you can tell the menu placement here with these little lines. And then I'm going to use the little scroll wheel to go up and down within said menu. So looking at this one, we got our current trip. That's just our trip computer since we turned on the vehicle. Dropping it down once, this is our trip computer since we refueled the vehicle. Look at that, 6.8 kilometers per liter. It's not liters per 100 kilometers right now, so we'll have to change that. So that's, yeah, it's going to be inaccurate because this vehicle's just been test driven once and they probably gunned it. And it's also been inspection driven. So it's only got 21 kilometers on it. So these aren't going to be accurate numbers yet, right at the moment. Anyway, but basically to reset these now, all I got to do is hold this scroll wheel down for a second, and boom, it's reset. So I'll do the same thing with this one. This is basically a trip computer since you last reset it. Scrolling down one time, it gets us our engine temperature, and then we've got our tire pressure monitor, our drive power distribution, so which wheel is getting power at any given time, and then our information about where energy is coming from and going to. Of course, this being a hybrid, sometimes you may want to see that. So if you're decelerating, it's going to show lines going from the wheels through the electric motor to the battery. If you're accelerating, it's going to be showing power going from either the electric motor or the gas engine to the wheels, and then also shows when it's coming from the battery. Bump it one more time, it just goes back up to the start. So if I'm going to hit that top button again, so that's this one right here, that bumps me over to now the middle menu. And currently we're not navigating, so it's just showing our compass. So if I set a destination in the navigation system, now it's going to show me our turn-by-turn directions on this little screen, but also up here in the head-up display, which is pretty awesome. So I don't have to use Hyundai's built-in navigation for this. I can just use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for that as well. Cancel route.
Route canceled.
Okay, so that is that screen. Now if I bump it over one more time to the last one, this is just a quick sort of overview of what's going on around the vehicle. So if you have a vehicle in your blind spot, it's going to show little corners here, little red marks. If there's a car in front of you, it'll show that as well, car beside you, etc. And if you're sort of driving over the lines or whatnot, it'll show you that you're drifting out of your lane. Okay, now having a look at the rest of the instrument cluster, it's pretty straightforward, but basically we have our speedometer here, our tachometer here, how much energy is going where, how much energy you're using or whether or not you're recharging, our speed limit. Currently the e-brake is on, we're in eco drive, the car is ready to move, it's 29 degrees outside Celsius, currently the vehicle's in park, and it's in EV mode because we're not moving, and it's got 21 kilometers on the odometer. Now if I change the drive mode, you can see it does change things a little bit, but we can actually set it up so that it changes the actual look of the instrument cluster as well, which we will get to a little bit later. All right, getting back to buttons on the steering wheel. So that pretty much covers everything over on this side. There is a paddle right here. That's of course for paddle shifting, which you can do pretty easily. So basically if you're in sport mode, you can use these paddles to shift gears, and keep in mind, it'll show you down there where it says P. So if I put the vehicle into drive, then I pull the right paddle, you can see now we're in second gear. Pull the left paddle, it drops it down to first gear. Now, however, this is cool. If we're in eco mode, as you can see here, and then I use the paddles, now it's actually changing the level of regeneration. So there's our level 3 regeneration right there. If I pull the left paddle, that will decrease. If I pull the right paddle, it will increase. Sorry, the other way around. If I pull the right paddle, it'll decrease. If I pull the left paddle, it will increase. So regenerative braking basically means that the vehicle will start to slow itself down when you take your foot off the accelerator using the electric motor. And that, of course, puts energy back into the battery. So it's pretty cool that you can now change the level of regeneration in a hybrid, at least in this hybrid. Now, the electric motor generator in a hybrid is pretty small, so there's not going to be a whole lot of difference between levels 1 to 3, but the fact that you can customize it a little bit is quite nice. No one-pedal driving in this vehicle, though. That's pretty much reserved for just EVs. Now, let's continue on with some of the other buttons on the other side of the steering wheel. All right, so Hyundai does try to make things easy. Everything here is for that, okay? So there's nothing in here that controls anything on the instrument cluster. Basically, this is just for the infotainment system. So first off, we have the mode button, which allows you to switch between where you're getting your music from. So if we want, we can actually put on everything here, and then if I press the mode button repeatedly, it's going to cycle through the different sources that are available. So currently the radio is the only thing that it can pull music from. So if I hit that, it's just going to go AM, FM, Sirius XM, that's it. And then the button below that is to go to next track or previous track, or if you're listening to the radio, next preset or favorite, previous favorite. The button below that is customizable. Now that one we're actually going to set to reject our own end phone call. Now you can see there's a lot of different things that you could make that button do, but that one makes the most sense to me, I find anyway, because the hang up button should be beside the answer button. This, of course, is the answer button. If you don't want to answer call now, you can just hit this one. But of course, you can set this up to whatever you want. Top right corner is the voice recognition, which by default will be the Hyundai voice recognition, and check out some of the commands you can do actually. So if we go into the command section here, under vehicle control, you can see I can open the tailgate, or I can turn on the heated steering wheel, or I can turn on the seat warmer or the seat ventilation. I can open or turn on the rear defrost. Under command and control, I can set navigation directions, I can change the radio stations, I can change the Bluetooth device, I can search for destinations, contacts, and settings. So there's a lot of things that you can actually do with voice recognition. This is just a small excerpt of some of the possible options. Pretty cool. Now, otherwise, if you're using Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you can hold that button to access your phone's assistant instead. Directly below that is your volume button here, and that's also a mute if you press it. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the hang up and answer button. Sorry, this is your answer button for phone calls. All right, behind the steering wheel, we have the shift selector. So to put it into drive, you simply roll it all the way forwards and roll it all the way backwards for reverse. If you move it halfway, it'll put it into neutral. So if I put my foot on the brake here, there's neutral, roll it all the way, there's drive. And it does show in the screen as you're doing it which gear you're in. To put it into park, you're going to simply press the end. That will put it into park. Pretty simple, easy to use, and of course it takes away the wasted space up here. So now all of this is open and able to be used for other things. On the right-hand stalk, you can see we've got automatic windshield wipers. So basically we're just going to press that down for mist, but press it up to put it into auto. And again, as you change it, it shows you what setting you're in, which is cool. You got the automatic aggressiveness right here. You've got low and high as well if you want to do it manually. The end of the stock is for your rear wiper, and that is also automatic if the front wipers are going and you put the car into reverse. That's a setting you can enable as well. On the other side, we have our turn signal and headlight stock. So it does have auto headlights and auto high beams, but I like to keep it in the headlights on all the time. That way we can see tail lights in the back when the vehicle is driving during the day. Sorry, that's a roundabout way of saying it. Now, also, that's your turn signal, of course. So you'll notice we have blind view monitor coming up. So when you put the vehicle signal on, it shows you down the side of the vehicle using the cameras on the side, which is awesome. Also, one-touch turn signal, so you can tap it. It will flash a few times, either 3, 5, or 7. Right beside the instrument cluster, you see we've got the little button right here. That is your fingerprint scanner. So you can set that up to use your index finger, your thumbprint, whatever, or multiples in the system under the vehicle settings, which I will show you a little bit later. So that's pretty cool. That basically will remember your customized settings in your user profile. You'll be able to start the car and immediately go to your own user profile and have all of your customized profile settings. So that includes ambient lighting, presets on the radio, the dashboard level, lighting level, the settings that you have on the climate control, even your seat position and mirror position, which is also controlled with these two buttons here. These are your memory buttons for seats and mirrors, or seat and mirrors, but that actually is also controlled within the user profile. So lots of customization, as is typical with new Hyundai vehicles. All right, let's have a quick look at this brand new center console. So we've already showed you the inside of this, but check this out. You've got a lifted charging pad here. Now, the reason it's raised up like that a little bit is if you have a camera bump, it's going to sit in one of these two spots, and you'll get a nice flat surface for the charging of your phone. Right here are the lights that actually progressively light up as it's charging, which is cool. Two nice cup holders here, pretty standard, nothing too fancy. They do have the little bouncy things for multiple sizes of cups. We have our drive terrain selector and our drive mode selector. So basically what that does is you can put the vehicle into snow, mud, and sand mode, but first you got to press this to switch to terrain modes. So you notice it's lit up in orange now. If I press it, it switches to drive modes. And your drive modes are Eco, Sport, and My Drive, which is a customizable drive mode, which I will show you when we get to the infotainment system. The auto hold button here will basically stop the vehicle from moving when you take your foot off the brake. I hate that setting. This is a dead button, so it doesn't actually do anything. This is your hill descent assist, which works up to 40 kilometers an hour and basically maintains your descent speed. That's all that is. This one here will turn on your camera. So let's have a quick look at the cameras. So as I showed you before, we have the blind view cameras, but those cameras are also used for the top-down view. Check out on the top-down view, it even has dynamic steering lines to show you where your car is going to end up, but not just the front of your car, but also the side of your car. And if you're reversing, it does the same thing. It shows the swing of the front end of the vehicle, so as you're turning. Now, these other lines here, that's just indicating that there is something front and rear of the vehicle very close. And of course, we have the dynamic steering lines on the back of the camera there as well. And check this out, the full 360. Sorry, let me just turn off the parking sensors there so we're not listening to that beeping. We got the full 360 camera, 3D view, which is super cool. You can move that around. And it's all very good high resolution cameras. Or you can just have it backup camera. You can even change the backup camera to a top-down view. You can look at both sides of the vehicle if you're parallel parking, or just go full screen. Now, speaking of parallel parking, if you're in drive and you're parallel parking, if you're looking at this view, you can actually see the front wheels. Check that out. So if you don't want to curb your rims, that's a great way to do a parallel park job. Pretty awesome. So that's the camera button there. Now, obviously the cameras will come on automatically if you put the vehicle into reverse, but if you're in drive and you want to turn it on, that's what you can do to press it. Now, if you're in drive and you're parking and the front sensors pick something up, then the cameras will turn on anyway. This is your parking sensor button. That's where you can enable and disable the parking sensors, but you can also disable the collision avoidance for backing up. So check this out. If I hold that button down, watch what pops up on the screen here. Parking collision avoidance assistance off. So if you don't want to have the car hit the brakes automatically when it picks something up close to the front or back bumper, that's how you can disable that. So if you got like a bike rack on the back, or you're pulling a trailer or something like that, and you need to disable the auto parking, or the auto braking, you can do that from there. Pretty awesome that you have that ability very, very easily by holding that button down. All right, having a look at some controls over here. So we got two USB-C ports. This one here is customizable. You can actually go from just charging phones to charging phones, and also providing a link to the screen. So maybe you're doing a software update, or you just want to play some music off of a flash drive, you can switch it to that. If you're just charging phone or tablet, you can switch it to that there. This one will just charge. You've also got 180 watt 12 volt power outlet there. And then right above that, of course, we have our climate control. So dual zone automatic climate control with 3 levels. So you don't have to have the auto climate control going nuts all the time. You can decrease the speed at which the fans spin, but still keep it automatic, which is nice. We have our heated seats, 3 levels, and our ventilated seats, 3 levels. Pretty easy to use. Our heated steering wheel button is right there. You can see we've got 2 levels of heated steering wheel. And then our recirculate is automatic, so you can press it and turn it on if you want, but if you use the windshield washer fluid, it actually turns it on for you as well, so you don't have to smell the washer fluid. If you drive through a tunnel, it'll also turn on recirculate, so you don't have to smell the tunnel. We have a driver-only mode, which completely shuts off the right-hand side of the vehicle, saving you fuel or energy, depending on how you want to look at it. I guess both of those are energy, but it saves you fuel or electricity in the battery. And of course you can shut the whole thing off from here as well. But we're not going to do that right now because it is currently very warm outside. Okay, right above that are all of the hard buttons for the infotainment system. So what we'll do now, seeing as we've kind of covered everything else, is we'll go over the entire infotainment system. So we've got some hard buttons here that control some of the aspects of the CCNC system. So we've got our volume knob, which of course is also a power button. So if I turn that, or if I press that, you'll notice it's going to turn off just the radio. So now it says Sirius XM off. If I hold it down, though, it shuts the whole screen off. So we'll turn it back on, obviously. The home button here will always take you back to this screen. So if your vehicle is equipped with the navigation system, then you'll see the navigation system there. If not, you'll see the radio there. Okay. The search button, this is pretty cool because this is a global search. Not only can you search for addresses, but you can also search for setup stuff. So let's say you want to find settings on the radio. You can just type in radio settings. You can also search for names of songs, okay? And if you have a phone connected, you can search for contacts in there as well. So it's a global search, searches all sorts of different things in there. The media button will just take you to a screen, either to the last thing that you were playing. If I press the media button a second time, whoop, I pressed it 3 times. Now it's showing our different sources of music, and I can just choose which source of music I want to play. So there's our lively forest in our sounds of nature. Obviously, it's your hazard button. Seek and track will go to the next preset, next available radio station, or previous radio station, or it'll go to the next and previous track in your playback. So whether you're playing from a phone or from a USB stick, next song, previous song, that's what it'll do. This one here is customizable. So the first time I press that, it's going to ask me what I want to do with that button. Well, I want to make that the phone projection button, so I have a really easy way of getting back into Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So that's essentially what that is going to do now when I press that. So if I press it now, it does nothing. It's just saying, hey, you need to connect a phone. Okay, so the setup button here, of course, is going to take you into the setup screen. That's the same as going to the setup screen from the second over menu. There we go, there's our setup screen. And then the last one here is just for tuning or going to next previous song, which will obviously work only if you've got a phone connected or are playing from a USB stick. All right, so now let's go over the actual touch sensitive buttons on the screen, or touch screen here, and what you can actually do within this screen. So first off, the home button. So if we press the home button here, it's going to take us to this screen, as I mentioned. But if you're in the map, for instance, or in the radio, whatever, you're going to see this little home icon. That's going to also take you to the same thing. It takes you back to this home screen. So what's on this home screen? Well, let's start at the top left. We have a little menu here, which gives us our profile settings or an online manual. Online manual is a scannable QR code. So you scan that and it brings up a manual on your phone. But the other thing here, the profile settings, is just the settings for your user profile. Now, your user profile settings you'll generally set up when you first buy the vehicle, and you can also get there by tapping the profile name, and then you can see we've got change user, profile image, security, blue link account. We can delete the profile. So there are some basic settings in here, like profile image, for instance. That's this thing right here. So when you first turn on the car, it asks you who's driving. You can name this profile your own name. And then you'll see your profile image. It just makes it easier to find the profile. If we go to change user, of course, that gives us this screen, which is the same as what comes up when you start up the car. And then you can just choose, yourself as the person driving. So that's essentially what those two things do. Pretty straightforward. Profile settings is also accessible from the setup menu. Now, first thing in here, of course, is going to be the navigation system if your vehicle comes equipped with navigation. So let's tap this. If your vehicle does not have built-in navigation, then you can ignore this section of the video. So in the built-in navigation, on the top left, we have our search button, which is the same really as hitting the search down here. It makes no difference. You can do it either or. This button right here will actually change the perspective. So you can see we have more three-dimensional perspective now. Or you can have top-down, north-up, or top-down, vehicle-up. But we'll put it into perspective mode. That's sort of the one that most people prefer. We have our sort of a zoom here, so you can zoom. You can have it automatically zoom in, or you can just have it manually zoom in, zoom out. We're going to keep that on auto, so as you're driving, it'll zoom in and zoom out depending on whether or not you got a turn coming up. Then the scale button here, basically, this is where you could zoom in if you don't want to use pinch and zoom. So that's essentially what that is. But we'll keep it on automatic here. You'll notice on the right-hand side, there's a little mini screen. So if I cycle through this little mini screen, you can see there's various different things that you can see on this. This will come up if you're in the radio or other applications built into the CCNC system. If we don't want this here, just a quick swipe to get rid of it. So bring it back, swipe in from the outside, pretty straightforward. On the top, there's actually another menu as well. So if you swipe down from the top, this comes up regardless of what screen you're in. And from here, you can shut the screen off. You can enable, disable that little split screen thing that we just did by swiping in from the outside. You can change the navigation volume, you can put the vehicle into quiet mode, which limits the front speaker volume and shuts off the rear speakers. The illumination right here, of course, that's for your screen and all of your buttons and whatnot, but you can keep that on auto as well. Navigation beeps and sound you can also increase and decrease the volume of. If we go to the little gear icon top right corner, we can also enable other settings within here. Now you see there's not enough space to add everything, so if I want, I can have the beep volume on, or I can have the voice memo option ready to go as well. We've also got tone for your sound, change devices and device connections, and also the sound position. So you can kind of customize what comes up in the quick control menu, which is this. There you can see now I've got the voice menu option. So that's just a drop down from the top, which again you can do at any time. Along the bottom here, we've got our back button or home button, pretty obvious. Then this is a menu button. Now the menu button specifically for the navigation screen. If you're in other screens, the menu button will be a little bit different, but you'll always see online manual, which is pretty cool. So if I go to online manual now and scan that, it's going to take me to the map page of the digital manual. Pretty smart. Okay, going back to the home screen, you'll also notice right here we have a home button and also a favorite, like a work button. So if I hit that, it's going to ask me what my home address is, and that way every time we hit that button, it's just going to automatically navigate home. Same thing for work right there. Right next to that is the current music source. Now, if you do not have built-in navigation, then your screen is going to look more like that, sort of, because your music source is going to be the far left thing. But let's go into the audio system here. So right now we're looking at basically sounds of nature. So if I press this little button, it switches us to the radio, which of course has Sirius XM, AM, FM, and our favorites. Favorites are added simply by putting a little star on the song or the channel that you're currently listening to. If I switch to AM, it's going to look for stations, and then it's also going to have stars once it shows the stations that are available. Same thing goes for FM. So as you can see in the FM stations here, I've already got a list that I can choose from. And if I put those little blue stars in there and go to favorites, now it's showing all of the ones that I've starred. And the cool thing is it doesn't matter if it's AM, FM, or Sirius XM, it'll just put all my favorites here. Now using that little up and down button in here will actually cycle through the different favorites that I have selected. So that's essentially how all of that works. And then again, you'll notice we have the little menu button here. So if I tap the menu and go up, I can go to online manual and again, scan the QR code for an online manual about the radio. All right, and then on the right-hand side, it just shows us, a little bit of a indicator of what we're listening to. I've also got the little buttons here, which will do the same thing, cycle through the presets. And of course, I can bring in that little mini screen as well, which has, by the way, I'll just show you what it's got here. So we'll start at the very top. There we go. So we have our current energy situation, where power's coming from, going to, little mini map. We have our weather, which will actually function once BlueLink is enabled. We have a compass, and as a matter of fact, there's 2 types of compass. Okay. We also have a clock, and we have different types of clocks. And then it switches back up to the energy information. All right, so that's the radio, pretty straightforward. Back to the home screen here, we got the hybrid screen. Now on an EV, you'll have the EV screen, okay? So this just gives us a little bit of information about hybrid economy. And of course, if it's an EV, this particular vehicle doesn't come in an EV mode, but it does come in a plug-in hybrid mode, but you'll see the same sort of thing. So what, where power's coming from, going to, that sort of thing. All right, swiping over to the left here, you can see we've got our phone menu, which of course will show you a dial pad so you can place phone calls, your contacts will be in there, etc. Phone history. Phone projection, which will switch to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto once you're connected up to that. Voice memo allows you to literally record your voice and play it back later. It's kind of a weird thing. Weather is going to show you a forecast for either today or the future, 1 week forecast. And again, only works with BlueLink enabled. Valet mode allows you to put the vehicle into a secure mode so that a valet can't, see your personal information like your address and whatnot. Setup takes you to the setup screen, which we're going to cover a little bit later. Swiping over, we can see our vehicle diagnostics and maintenance. So these things, again, only work with BlueLink, so you have to have that enabled. But diagnostics, basically, you can run a quick diagnostic if there's something going on with the car. Maintenance will show you maintenance reminders, etc. And then HD radio, this is pretty cool. So again, in an EV, you won't see fuel prices, obviously, but check this out. We have our traffic in the area. Now, this only works if the HD radio signals that are out there are actually providing traffic data, but check it out. You can even filter it, so you can filter out information about what type of traffic problems there are. This will actually work if you don't have navigation as well. You just won't see it on the map. So just keep that in mind. It's a little different for non-nav systems. And then the other thing in here is our Doppler radar. Again, it needs to have data from HD radio sources. Fuel prices will only work if you have built-in navigation and you have a gasoline vehicle, but basically it's showing us all sorts of information about pricing of stations local to us here. The further down the list you go, the further the stations are away. But check this out. Here's one for $1.58 regular fuel. So if I hit go, it actually takes us right to the navigation system, and I can plot a route from there very, very easily. So that's the HD radio. And then we have notifications, which again is connected to BlueLink, so that'd be BlueLink notifications, including calendar reminders that you've set up in your phone, assuming you have your calendar linked to BlueLink.
and then the online manual again, which is the full digital manual. So let's go to the setup screen, because that is going to be a big part of this vehicle. Now, in setup, you can see we have vehicle setup. Now, everything in here is now going to pop up if I choose one of these things on the left side. So those are the same things as what you're seeing in here. So I just got to press one of these, and you can then see it in this list on the left. But we're going to start with driving assistance. We'll go to driving convenience, which has our smart cruise control settings, so you can change the distance from here. Of course, you can also do that with this button, don't forget. You can change how quickly it accelerates to catch up to the car in front of you, or to go up to the speed that you have the cruise control set to. Also, how quickly it reacts to changes in speeds of the car in front of you. If I go back to driver assistance and then driver safety, I can enable and disable forward safety, which is, of course, detecting cars, pedestrians, junction turning, that sort of thing, cyclists. I can even have the warning timing set to late or standard. Lane safety automatically assists steering to help prevent a vehicle from leaving the lane. Blind view monitor is the thing where you put the signal on and it shows you the blind view down the side of the car. Blind spot safety, so provides a warning and when a risk of a blind spot collision is detected, and also provides vehicle control. So if you were to start leaving your lane, it's able to put you back into your lane to prevent a blind spot collision, but also provide vehicle control when departing a parallel parking spot. So if you're starting to exit a parallel parking spot and there's a car coming, it'll actually hit the brakes as well. Safe exit assist provides a warning when approaching vehicle is detected in the vehicle's blind spot. So if you swing the door open and there's a car coming, you'll get a warning as well. Let's go to driver attention warning. So here's our leading vehicle departure alert and our forward attention warning system. So leading vehicle departure alert basically means if a car in front of you leaves at a stoplight or whatever and you're not moving, you'll get a little reminder that it's safe to drive. Speed limit, if we tap that, we have a speed limit assist, God forbid. Basically what you do is you turn that on and then adjust the vehicle's set speed based on the current road speed limit when operating the plus minus switch right here. So that's increase, decrease speed, but it'll actually adjust automatically based on the speed limit that the forward-facing camera sees. Or you can just have it on speed limit warning, which means that the little speed limit sign in your head-up display and in your instrument cluster will just turn red when you're speeding. Speed limit information will do none of that. It'll just put a little arrow on the, if you're using the analog speed here, it'll put a little arrow beside the speed limit. And then, of course, you can turn all of that stuff off. You can also offset the speed limit. So if you're the type of person that likes to speed 5 or 10 kilometers over the speed limit, you can do so. And if you're the type of person that likes to drive under the speed limit, please get off the road. All right, drive mode. Under drive mode, we have the ability to set different drive modes. So check this out. We've got baby. So that's a new one. I've never even seen that. Selects drive mode optimized for when infants are on board. Wow, that is so different. Okay, so Eco, Sport, and Smart, those are normal. Eco mode's going to save you a lot of fuel. Sport's going to waste a lot of fuel. Smart is going to change based on how you're driving. And Baby is optimized for when there are infants on board. I have no idea what that does, but that is hilarious. Okay.
So upon further investigation, apparently Baby mode reduces the sharpness of initial acceleration, smoothing out driver inputs for a gentler acceleration feeling for passengers.
We also have steering, sport, and normal. So sport just tightens up the steering wheel. Normal is just going to be normal. Now, of course, we have the ability to change drive modes simply by using these buttons down here, as I mentioned. But of course, one of the drive modes is the My Drive mode, which is customizable. All right, under Eco Vehicle, you won't always see this in your vehicle. It's going to depend on the type of vehicle you have. But we have a coasting guide, and we have Smart Regeneration, which is going to adjust the regen based on where you're driving. We also have Green Zone EV Drive, maximizes EV driving to protect the environment. So I guess that's just going to do its absolute most to keep the gas engine turned off. These settings, of course, are going to be vehicle dependent. Under climate, you can see we have, you know what, did we finish the driver assistance? No, we didn't. We're going to get back to climate in a minute. So under driving assistance, the last thing we didn't do was go to parking safety. So we went through all the other ones here. So parking safety, we can change the camera settings. So we have our parking distance warning. That's basically the same as the parking sensor button. The top view parking guidelines, okay, so that's those dynamic steering lines. Rear view parking guidelines, again, You can enable and disable those things. The surround view monitor, you can turn that on and off from here. Parking distance warning auto on, so automatically activates parking distance warning when driving at low speeds. That's the beeping that you hear when you get close to something. Rear safety provides a warning in vehicle control when a risk of collision is detected while reversing. So that's the autonomous braking when you're backing up. And then rear vehicle or rear cross traffic safety. If a car or a pedestrian passes behind the vehicle, it will beep, and it'll also flash in the mirrors, and it'll provide vehicle control. It'll hit the brakes if you're not stopping. Okay, that's everything in driving assistance. All right, so back to climate here. So recirculate air upon washer fluid use or upon entering tunnels. That's where that is. Automatic ventilation, so automatically dehumidifies when the vehicle has been on recirc for too long and it starts to get humid in the vehicle. Defog, defrost, there's the auto defrost. And then climate features here, air conditioner auto dry. So if the vehicle has been using AC and never got a chance to dry out the vents, this will actually dry out the vents when the vehicle shut off. So you might hear the climate control fan spinning even if the car is off. Seating easy access, when you shut the car off, the seat actually moves back a little bit. You can put that into extended or normal or turn that system off completely. And then seat change position alert. If I move the seat now, it'll show me on the screen what I'm doing with the seat. So that's how that works. Pretty neat. Okay, and then under lights, and keep in mind, guys, all of these settings are remembered in your user profile, which is pretty awesome. All right, under ambient lighting, I can change the brightness. I can link it to the drive mode if I want. I can dim it in the dark, none of which I want to do. But I can also change the color. Check this out, 64 available colors for the ambient lighting. So ambient lighting on this vehicle comes out down here. It also comes out in the door pockets as well. And then also underneath the screen here, you'll see a little bit of a glow. So a few different places where the ambient lights come out. Pretty awesome. This is also where you can turn that one touch turn signal off completely or have it on 3, 5, or 7 flashes. And we have the welcome light, so that illuminates the little lights in the door handle as you approach. Headlight delay and high beam assist are here as well. Under door, we have our 2-press unlock, power lift gate settings, power lift gate speed, smart lift gate, remote window control, which means if you hold down the unlock button on your key fob, the front windows will actually go down. Pretty cool. Digital key is where you can set up your phone as a key. And then under convenience, we can see we have a rear occupant alert. So if the rear doors are opened at any time, it'll remember that and it'll remind you to check the rear seats when you shut the car off. Here's also where you can enable the service interval. You can set up the correct amount of kilometers, so 8,000 kilometers or 8 months is the recommended service interval. Oil change reminder, that's where you would reset it as well. Wireless charging for mobile phones is right there. You can enable and disable that. You can even customize the type of light that comes up. They're not dots, they're lines. So you just want to have it all orange, or if you want it progressively doing a little green light, which makes more sense. Those are 3 little line lights. So auto rear wiper, that's where we can turn that on. So when the vehicle's front wipers are on, now the rear wiper will turn on when you put the vehicle into reverse. Okay, and then all of these things we just went through in driver in the vehicle settings. So now the next thing would be navigation settings. So we're going to enable vehicle speed and traffic info in the navigation system. Under guidance, you can change a few of the settings in here as well. These ones I would recommend you just leave on default. Map mode, you can have the fonts in the map standard or larger. You can change the look of the map system if you want as well. Classic lights were the more popular one. The auto scale thing, you can have extra zoom out. And then the nav auto features, whether you want it to recenter the map automatically when you move things around or whatnot. So that's the navigation settings. Under sound settings, we have dynamic speed compensation, so the faster you go, the louder it gets. And we also have a startup volume limit, which we definitely want to enable. Under positions is just where the audio is coming from. Tone is your bass, treble, mid-range levels. Guidance, you can change the volumes for your guidance system from here. Under radio noise, you can adjust how much radio noise reduction there is for FM and AM. Driver assistance, so these are your warning beeps. You can change the volume level. You can also enable and disable haptic feedback. So right now, if this is turned on, that means the steering wheel will actually vibrate if there's a warning. Lane safety audible warning, you can enable and turn that, turn on off. You can enable and disable that from there. Driving safe priority lowers volumes when you put the vehicle into reverse, or well, actually these two together. put the vehicle into reverse, or if there's an alarm of some sort, it'll lower radio volume. Under connected devices, you can actually increase or decrease your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay volume from there. So that is the sound settings. Under device connections, this is where you would connect the phone. So pretty simple. You can also enable and disable Bluetooth prompts. And then, of course, you can enable and disable wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Under user profile, this is where we can change some of the profile settings. So we were talking about that earlier. That's where you'll get to it from within the settings menu. Audible prompts for voice recognition, you can actually reduce how many prompts there are. So if you've become a pro at voice recognition, you don't need it to prompt you anymore, you can turn off the prompts. Under screen layout, here's where you can change the cluster theme. So check this out. So right now we're in simple. If I put it in classic, now we actually have an analog speedometer, and we can have an analog tachometer if we put the vehicle into sport mode. There we go. Now we can also change the graphic style. So there's style A, style B, style C, or we can link it to the drive mode so that if I change the drive mode, we've got Eco and Sport and then the My Drive. So a few different options there. And that's all done right from this little section, cluster theme selection. Under screen saver, we can have it turn on a clock when we shut the screen off, if you remember, by holding this power button. So there's a clock now instead of just a blank screen. But we can even customize the clock, so we can choose which clock we want. So now if we hold that button down, boom, we have that clock. So that's what that is. Split screen just allows you to change what comes up in that little mini screen that pulls up on the right-hand side there. Okay, oh, I left the settings completely. Okay, so that is screen layout. Under display, we can have it automatically adjust brightness, or we can adjust the brightness manually from there. Camera settings we were already looking at earlier. Blue light filter. So this is where we would turn on the blue light filter so that automatically at night it filters out blue light. Buttons, this is just your button settings, which we did actually kind of go over when we were setting those buttons up. And then here is the head-up display settings. So cluster settings we've already kind of looked at. But the head-up display settings are from here as well. So you can enable, disable head-up display. You can adjust the height and the brightness of the head-up display. You can also adjust the tilt of the head-up display. Oh, actually, this is interesting. Automatically save HUD height and rotation settings after the IMS system has been activated. I haven't seen that before. I'm not 100% sure what that does. I wonder if that's using the infrared light to figure out where your head is so that it adjusts that automatically. I wonder if that's what that is. If that is, that's pretty cool. Now, in the content selection, you can actually turn on and off different things that come up in the head-up display. So turn-by-turn directions, media information, call information, driving assistance information, and blind spot information. All right, so that is pretty much it there. Blue Link, of course, is where you can activate Blue Link. And then General is where you can see the platform type. You can do your updates from here. Over-the-air updates will be eventually available in Canada. I believe they are already available in the United States. Here's also where you can change your date and time settings. So right now we do need to enable daylight savings time. Hopefully once Canada realizes that's just silly, we will not ever have to do that again. But that's why Hyundai actually has the option to enable it and disable it from here. And then, of course, you also have your units setting in here. So if you want, you can change it to liters per 100 kilometers, to miles, Fahrenheit, tire pressure unit, etc. Now, one way to quickly change the time and date is simply tap the time and date, or the time here, and it takes you right to the time and date settings. Time is set automatically, as is the date, but the daylight savings time will never be. So when daylight savings time changes, simply tap that, change it right here, and you're done. Pretty simple. All right, and that is pretty much it for the setup screen, which means that is pretty much it for this screen.
And that's pretty much everything there is to talk about in the new 2025 Tucson Ultimate Hybrid. If this video was helpful to you, again, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If I missed something, please comment below and let me know as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Till next time, don't forget to check out the affiliates in the description below and use Ed's Garage as a discount for your future purchases. Have a great day. Take care.